Chapter 1. If you find this tape, please listen closely. It may not be alive, hell, no one else may. But please trust me. My name is Adam Edwest, and something went wrong, horribly wrong. The Boogeyman escaped. It's killed most everyone here. It's rampaged every room in this place. I think it has killed every other creature we held here. Adam takes a second to breathe. He tries to keep his voice low. Adam grasps at one of the many cuts on his body, each seeping with blood, making a small pool around his torso. Dried blood also coats his nostrils and the corners of his mouth on his sand-white face, feeling just as grainy. His heart beats loudly in his ears, while a sharp ring makes it hard to hear his own thoughts. He takes a couple of breaths. He continues talking softly into the tape recorder. It can't die, but it can be contained. It's not much, but salt rings can trap the Boogeyman. The only problem being that salt rings aren't reliable. Light can also hurt the Boogeyman. I wish there were more ways of dealing with it, but we haven't found any way to hold it reliably or even kill it. The best thing you can do is run. I know this must all sound stupid, but I'm telling the truth. Please, save yourself. Adam ends the recording. Blood starts to congeal, but he has already lost too much. Adam rolls on his back. He looks around at the carnage. There are a dozen dead scientists laying on the ground with Adam. He shivers at how many more he'll walk past on the upper levels. The room reeks with a sickening stench of corpses, the ringing in his ears having gone slightly quieter. Adam listens to the atmosphere around him. Rubble falls to the ground. But maybe some of the pieces of a once intact building was just the sound of his heartbeat, which starts to exhaust. Everything is quiet. He hears something else. Thunderous footsteps echoing down the hallways, coming deep from the darkness in front of Adam. Part of him hopes that someone has come to save him, or anyone else that may have found some hiding spot. But the footsteps grow louder. He peers into the darkness, unsure of who may be down the corridor. Two green lights glow from the far reaches of the void. Adam knows what is coming towards him. Adam quickly shuts his eyes and lies as still as possible, the booming footsteps only advancing towards Adam. It's not long until Adam feels nothing apart from the pain from his cuts, the dried blood on his body, the chill around him, and the repeated warm blasts of air on his face, smelling of rot and death. It takes all the strength that remains in him to not react to any of it, fearing the Boogeyman would think he was still alive. Just then, the Boogeyman rears back from Adam's face and screams a sound similar to that like nails on a chalkboard before running off. Though his face didn't show it, that roar shook Adam to his core. Sensing it was safe, Adam's adrenaline mustered all of his remaining strength. He stood up, took one last look around, and limped to the exit. He stumbled as he made his way out the door, his knees buckling on each step. He looked around at the outside, the prints from the many cars that sped off, some having been destroyed, no doubt from the Boogeyman's escape. One car faced at him, left running. It was his car. The driver's side door opened. Catherine stepped out and ran towards him. Adam! Oh my God! What the hell happened? Catherine shouted in a panic. She noticed the blood all over Adam's body. Oh shit! Get in the car, she said. Catherine helped Adam climb into the car. Catherine took the wheel and sped off towards the hospital. While Catherine's heart raced, going 30 miles over the speed limit, Adam couldn't stop thinking about what had happened. He couldn't stop feeling the pain all over his body. Though the hospital was only 2 miles away from the laboratory, it felt like 200. But they got there all the same. Catherine helped Adam out of the car and into the hospital. She walked up to the receptionist. Miss Wright took one look at Adam and immediately phoned a doctor. After a couple more minutes, Dr. Jacobs came down, took one look at Adam, and immediately escorted Adam to his room. "What happened?" Dr. Jacobs asked while getting prepared. "The boogeyman escaped," Adam said. Dr. Jacobs froze. He slowly turned to Adam, hoping he misheard him. "What? The boogeyman escaped?" Catherine repeated to Adam. Dr. Jacobs fetched a pair of surgical gloves, a mask, and several instruments, and got prepped for surgery. "It's going to be okay, Adam. I'll get you fixed up in no time," Dr. Jacobs said. He began to wash away most of the blood and sterilized Adam's wounds. "I'll leave for 3 years, and this is what happens? Catherine, do you know what all happened?" Dr. Jacobs said, trying to make sense of Adam's words. "I don't know. 1 minute, I'm at my desk filing papers, and then the next people are rushing to the door screaming bloody murder." Dr. Jacobs finishes cleaning Adam's wounds and grabs a syringe with a vial filled with an orange liquid from a drawer. "What is that?" Catherine asks. "It's the BSHS, or rather the most recent formula." Dr. Jacobs injects the BSHS into Adam's bloodstream. It burns his arm for a brief moment. "It's not exactly what we were wanting, but it's a start." Dr. Jacobs pressed on the syringe a bit harder. "I'm surprised you're still working on it," Adam said hoarsely. "It's my life's work, Adam. I wasn't going to leave that behind. You of all people should know that." Dr. Jacobs threw the syringe away. "Any progress?" Adam asks. "Not much. I don't really have free time to work on my hobbies, Adam. But I manage." Dr. Jacobs and Catherine help Adam to his feet. "Luckily, there weren't any fatal injuries. You should be back to your normal self after about 2 weeks or so. Try to stay off your feet until then." Adam and Catherine thanked Dr. Jacobs for his help, walked back to the car, and drove home. During the drive, Catherine sighed. She looked at Adam, relieved he's still able to talk. "Hey, you don't have to tell me if you don't want to. But do you know what happened exactly? Like, how did the boogeyman escape?" Adam took a second to think. "You know what? We can talk later. Let's just get you home," Catherine said. Adam nodded with a slight grin. "Yeah, that sounds nice." Chapter 2. As the sun makes itself present over the horizon, birds recognize their cue to sing their morning songs. As the citizens of Edwest, Wyoming attend to their routines, the house belonging to Adam and Catherine Edwest, the most distant from the town, is still sound asleep. Even though Catherine lies still, Adam tosses in his restless slumber. The laboratory is left in ruins, the dust clouding his dazed vision, blood seeping from his wounds, the smell of his colleagues' internals, and the eyes of fear staring at him from the far reaches beyond his vision. He dropped to the floor, hoping the boogeyman would go away for a chance of survival. Then the scream of the boogeyman. It scrapes at his ear, but he lies still, afraid the boogeyman would sniff out his life. Then it does. Its thunderous footsteps retreat into the darkness, never to be seen again. Adam gets up and makes his way to the exit. He looks back at the carnage the boogeyman left in its wake. He counts the number of bodies, just the one in his sight alone. Adam's knees buckle and he slumped to the floor. From the other end of the room, men, women, and children walked in. They examine the bodies. They run to one each, crying and begging for any sign of life. A couple confused children gather around the widows. Just then, all at once, everyone stared at Adam, including the people still alive. "Your fault," they spoke out in unison. "Your fault," they shouted out in unison. Everyone stood up and walked past Adam, chanting over and over, never breaking eye contact. Adam curled up until the voices faded completely. Then a voice spoke out, a displacement in this pattern. "Dad," the voice echoed. It was familiar. Adam looked around, but no one was left. "Dad!" A sudden gust of wind knocked Adam to his back. He started to shake. He felt his arm be rocked back and forth against his control. "Wake up! Wake up! Wake up!" Adam's eyes shot open. He yelped, coming to realize he was now awake. "Dad, it's me!" Adam looked over to see his son, Micah. "Are you okay?" Micah's eyes softened. Adam nodded. "Yeah. Just had a bad dream." "Do you know what today is?" Micah said excitedly. I couldn't even tell you which way is forward right now," Adam responded seriously. Adam smacked his mouth, tasting every bit of morning breath. "Dad, I'm 16 today. It's my birthday. Come on. You've been keeping this gift from me for the past 5 years. I need to know what it is." Micah stopped to take a big breath. "Calm down, Micah. You'll get it in a bit. We'll meet you downstairs in a few minutes, okay, buddy?" Adam told Micah. Without another word, Micah rushed down the steps. Adam groaned as he sat up in his bed. Micah's ruckus had apparently woken up Catherine first, as she had just gotten out of the bathroom with a toothbrush in her hands. "Bad dream, dear?" she said with a mouthful of toothpaste. "I think I slept on my arm funny." Either that or Micah shook all the nerves out of it, Adam said. "Same one?" Catherine asked, almost hesitantly. "Yeah," Adam said. "It doesn't get better the more I have it." "I know." Catherine sat down next to Adam, laying his head on her chest. "You want to know what the worst part about all of it is? Those families were ruined. All those people I was supposed to protect. Gone." Adam choked the last words. His face reddened and his chest hollowed. "It's not your fault," Catherine said. "I was in charge," Adam rebutted. "It's not your fault," Catherine said again. "I was responsible for their well-being," Adam croaked. "It's not your fault," Catherine repeated. Why did I survive?" Adam cried. They came out heavy and soaked Adam's arms and shirt. "It wasn't your fault. No one is blaming you. I know you may never forgive yourself. I know you'll never forget. I'm here for you, just as you are here for me. I love you, just as you love me. And as long as I am with you, I will always be with you," Catherine reassured Adam. It was my family's legacy. It was not just a workplace, but a home for so many. And to lose everything in just one night. I knew the risks, and I was careless. People died under my watch, my care. I lost everything. "I know," Catherine whispered. She ran her fingers through his hair. "No one could have stopped what happened. It's gone now. You're safe." "Micah's waiting on us," Adam said. "He can wait," Catherine said. Adam sighed. "Thank you so much for being here. You gave everything back to me." Adam told Catherine. I'm glad to hear that. I'm gonna finish waking up. Take your time getting out of bed, okay? Catherine said before walking back into the bathroom. Adam laid in bed for minutes longer. Catherine had walked out of the bathroom and downstairs before Adam could get out of bed. In the end, he got out against his will. He made his way into the bathroom, got ready for the day, and made his way downstairs. Micah was on the couch gazing at the TV. Catherine was in the kitchen preparing breakfast. Adam looked to see what Micah was watching and wondered why he suddenly got an interest in the news. You know, I get watching the news for the weather, but this is really boring to watch, Micah said to himself. Apparently he didn't. Sleep well, bud? Adam asked Micah. Hardly, Micah said joyously. You sleep well? Hardly, Adam said apathetically. Breakfast is ready, boys, Catherine called out from the kitchen. Micah jumped off the couch and ran to his seat at the table. Adam followed. So you turned 16 today. It seems like only yesterday you were 15, Adam joked. As they ate their breakfasts, Adam tried to focus more on his son's birthday as opposed to his nightmare, and, by extension, the incident at the laboratory. Micah scarfed all of his food and started to clean his plate in the sink. Just then, the doorbell rang. Micah left his plate in the sink and ran to open the door. Hello? Micah greeted the guest at the door. It was his two friends, Connor Stanpike and Elizabeth Quiker. Sup, bro? Connor said. Hey, Micah, Elizabeth said. Connor! Lizzie! I'm so glad to see you! How are you all doing? Aight, Connor said. Happy B-Day, bro. I'm doing well, Elizabeth said. Happy birthday. How are you doing? I'm feeling great right now, Micah said as they were walking inside. Where are we going today? The three of them sat down on the living room floor. Well, we don't have much left to go. Connor reached into his pocket and unfolded a paper map. The trio looked over the map, and indeed most of the map had already been drawn, spare for the top right corner and a smaller space for the more distant top left corner. I'd say we go right. There's more we haven't seen, and it's closer to the house, Micah said. Elizabeth nodded her head. Sounds good, but first... Elizabeth reached into her jacket's pocket and grabbed a small gift. For you. Micah picked up the small parcel and opened it. Inside was a nightlight cover. Painted on it was a small portrait of Micah, Elizabeth, and Connor. Just so you don't feel so alone when you go to sleep, Elizabeth said. Micah clutched it in his hands and stored it away in his pocket. It's beautiful, Liz. Thank you. Micah gave Elizabeth a hug. Gross, Connor scoffed. You know I'll always be there in person to make sure there are no boogeymen under your bed if you want. Oh, stop it, Elizabeth sneered at Connor while Micah giggled. We ready to go? Micah asked. Connor and Elizabeth both nodded. Alrighty then, off we go. Connor folded the map back up and stored it in his pocket. Micah assured Adam and Catherine that they would be back before it got too dark as they waved goodbye. As the trio got closer to the edge of the woods, Connor once again pulled out the map and unfolded it. As they trekked deeper into the woods towards their unmarked destination, Micah began reminiscing about previous adventures. He recalled a time when he and Connor found a fossilized leaf that had been dug out of the earth. Another time when Elizabeth showed Connor a deflated beach ball, covered in mud and crawling with bugs. Micah chuckled to himself slightly, remembering Elizabeth's initial queasiness to see the disgusting water toy. Connor ended up taking both, cleaning them up before storing them in his own home. They had wandered deeper into the woods for a mile or so before they had reached new territory. What they had found, hiding behind some trees, was beautiful. There was a small but open space. The sun shone spectacularly right down the hole created from the negative space of leaves of the surrounding trees. The ground crunched of rock and gravel, with a small creek that ran through the clearing. Directly in the middle was a large, smooth stone that was perfect for sitting upon, and a small, single tree that provided shade above the rocks. "Well, looky here, y'all," Connor said, breaking the silence. "This is absolutely gorgeous." Elizabeth was ecstatic and immediately ran to sit on the rock. Micah followed closely behind. "Yes, ma'am, this is wonderful," Micah said. "You two finally found your perfect makeout spot," Connor said. Micah groaned. "I mean, he's not wrong. I certainly wouldn't mind having a date or two up here," Elizabeth said. Micah sat up. "Yeah, I should bring out some picnic supplies. I wonder what the stars will look like under here." Micah and Elizabeth both looked up through the leaves. The light that fell in between the leaves painted the night at noon. "Some memories could be made here," Micah said. "Whoa!" Connor jumped behind Micah and Elizabeth's perfect date spot. They got off the rock and investigated. "What's... Whoa." In front of everyone rested an old, rusted Jeep. The windows were shattered, 2 of the doors were missing, and all of the tires were flat. Connor walked over to the front of the car while Micah and Elizabeth stood back. "Oh shit!" Connor shouted. "What is it?" Micah asked. I'm not sure how to explain it." Micah and Elizabeth both jogged to the front of the car. Connor was eyeing the hood of the old vehicle. On it, there were 3 massive lines carving deep into the car's engine. "What do you think did this?" Elizabeth asked. "A really pissed off ex or something else. I don't know," Connor said. Elizabeth walked over to the driver's side of the door, which, to her surprise, was still there. She leaned over and fell back on her feet in disgust. "What is it?" Micah asked. "Oh my god, there's a body in there," Elizabeth said, trying not to gag. Connor and Micah went straight over to her side to inspect the driver's seat, and indeed, in its rotten, skeletal glory, lay the remains of the driver. "Oh, what the fuck happened to this guy?" Connor said with some concern. "He must have really ticked off his ex," Micah said. Elizabeth wheezed, but couldn't hold back anymore before letting out what she ate. "Oh, crap! Liz, are you okay?" Micah said. Yeah, that's just... Excuse me." "Oh my god, I'm gonna throw up again," Elizabeth said breathlessly. "Yeah, we gotta call the cops. Lord knows how long he's been there," Connor said. Elizabeth sat back on the rock to regain her composure. "Well, there goes the perfect date spot," Micah said in woe. Elizabeth was finally able to stand upright again, and the 3 of them started walking back home. "I'm still trying to figure out what happened to the hood. Do you think they know what caused that?" Connor asked. "I don't know if Albert Einstein could figure that out," Micah said. "How far did we get on the map?" "Not far at all. I would still like to explore those woods further," Connor said. "Me too. Would you like to come with us, Liz?" Micah asked. "Not after seeing that, no," Elizabeth said. "I understand," Micah said. "Well, I gotta get home and let my dad know. It's just... what the fuck happened, you know?" Connor said. Eventually, they found their way back to Micah's house. Not soon after they walked back inside did the doorbell ring for Justin Stanpike and Zach Quiker to pick up Connor and Elizabeth respectively. Elizabeth gave Micah one last kiss before making her departure. "Hey champ, find anything cool?" Adam asked from the couch. Micah hesitated, telling his dad about the body. "Not really. An old Jeep, but that was about it." Adam wasn't paying too much attention. "Oh, before I forget, I have a present for you." Adam stood up and walked to the kitchen and grabbed a present from the top of the fridge. He handed it to Micah, who opened it slowly. Inside was a Nikto No More brand light kit full of flashlights, batteries, a headlamp, and a nightlight. That flashlight emits 2,500 lumens, takes only 2 batteries, and has an adjustable beam and strobe light function, perfect for deterring any boogeymen. Adam was delighted to give Micah these. Micah embraced his mom and dad in his arms and wished them a good night. Micah walked up to his room, changed into his pajamas, and crawled into bed. He walked through the memories of today and dozed off to sleep. Chapter 3. Morning came quickly for Micah. While he was getting ready for the day, his mind was still on that clearing from yesterday. He desperately wanted to know more about the car, the slashes, and the body of the driver. But all that would have to wait until after school. As Micah finished putting on his outfit for the day, consisting of a clean, deep blue pair of jeans, a gold t-shirt, and a wool vest, Micah grabbed his backpack and ran to the bus stop, awaiting to be picked up. Meanwhile, Adam laid wide awake. It had been another sleepless night. His mind was still on that night at the laboratory. It was a picture he never stopped looking at. No matter how closely he looked for answers, the details became worse and worse. Catherine began to wake up, rubbing her eyes and yawning. She noticed that Adam's eyes were bright red and crusted. "Sweetie, did you sleep last night?" Catherine said, half awake. "No. I'm sorry, I just couldn't." Adam sat up and rolled out of bed. He felt his face as he made his way to the bathroom in order to freshen up. Catherine yawned harder than last time. Adam washed his face over the bathroom sink before staring at himself in the mirror. His eyes were still slightly blurry, and for a moment, he saw another face in the mirror. Not quite him, but someone he used to know. As his vision cleared, he realized he was just looking at himself. "You okay there, hon?" Catherine yawned out. "I think my hair's starting to go gray," Adam joked. Catherine managed her way out of bed as well and made her way over to Adam. She gazed into the mirror with him. "Well, you know what I see?" Catherine asked. "I see a man with some amazing hair and an even more amazing face. No wrinkles or blemishes." Her lips grew. Adam dropped his head onto Catherine's. "Well, I see a stunning woman standing next to an amazing man." "Is that so?" Catherine said, her smile loosening. "Should I tell Micah? He was gonna be CEO one day. He would have done the same with his kids, and so on." Adam sighed. "Do you think he'd believe me if I told him?" Catherine took a moment to come up with an answer. "He's worried about you. So are all your friends. So am I. I think you should do what your heart tells you to do, 'cause that ain't ever wrong." Adam considered her words. "I could probably talk with Jacobs. He could give me some words of wisdom." Adam pondered. Catherine shrugged. He gave it some more thought. Adam and Catherine both walked out of the bathroom and went downstairs. Adam turned on the television and started watching the news. Catherine went to the kitchen and began making breakfast. "You know, I wish school wouldn't start so early. I like to see my son in the mornings," Catherine said. "Me too. I kind of wanted to talk about what they found last night during their little hike," Adam added on. Catherine had brought over some eggs for Adam, made over easy. With that, Adam's day was already a little better. "With the car, I worry for those kids when they're that deep in the woods," Catherine said. "They've got a map. I had a talk with Justin just the other day. He called Connor an aspiring archaeologist, if you can believe it." Catherine's eyes widened at the information. "Zach's hoping Elizabeth will be a doctor." Is Zach doing okay? With the way things have been going, has me a little worried for them, Catherine asked. Zach worries that he's being too pushy. I told him he should loosen up a bit, maybe have a heart-to-heart with Elizabeth, Adam responded. I think you and Micah could benefit from something similar. It wouldn't hurt to tell him what's wrong, Catherine suggested. I guess, Adam spoke softly. Will I regret that? Probably. But I've got your back, Catherine responded. Micah couldn't keep his mind off of the Jeep. Its backstory intrigued him. His legs bounced rapidly. He was constantly fidgeting with his fingers and pencils. Connor took notice. Excited for tonight? He asked. Micah nodded his head quickly. Me too, Connor said. I also told my dad about the body we found. What'd he say? Micah asked. Apparently, they had searched the car, but couldn't really trace anything to anyone. The scratches are what really stumped everyone in the precinct, Connor responded. And Micah's legs bounced even more now. Eventually, after getting nothing, Connor continued, they just dropped the case. Just like that. Connor snapped his fingers. What about the body? Why'd they just leave him there? Micah asked. They couldn't get him out of the car. They tried everything. After trying for a while, they just gave up and let the car be their coffin. Did they now? Micah and Connor both froze, slowly turning their heads to the source of the noise. Look, I'm trying to teach. Can you please just save your conversation until lunch? The coffee hasn't kicked in yet. Sorry, Mr. Cohn, Micah said. Mr. Cohn slumped back to the front of the classroom and continued his lecture. The rest of the school day dragged on for Micah. Even the bus ride home felt like an eternity in the face of mystery. After the bus dropped Micah and Connor off at Micah's house, Micah quickly left his backpack by the front of the door and ran to the same spot they were at yesterday. As they neared the edge of the woods, Connor brought out the paper map from his pocket, and the two set off into the wilderness. The walk to the clearing didn't seem as far this time, in part due to Micah and Connor's pace. They walked behind the rocks and tree, and there lay the Jeep. Alrighty, what's up with you? Connor thought to himself, walking around the car. Micah scanned the floor for any more clues. He noticed a patch in the woods. Upon a closer inspection, Micah discovered that gravel continued deeper into the woods, hidden by the overgrowth. Hey Connor, I think I found out where the car came from, Micah shouted. Connor jogged over to Micah and looked deep into the trees. Well, what are we waiting for? Connor said with delight. Micah walked into the woods, Connor following closely behind, tracing the path on the map. The trail seemed never-ending to the boys, but only really being half a mile longer. Once they had reached the end, they discovered something extraordinary. A massive clearing, 100 times the size of the one they had originally found. In the middle stood a large, destroyed building, no doubt grand in origin. In front of the parking lot, now overgrown with grass and weeds, stood a stone slab. The only legible engraved text reading, Laboratory. Holy shit, we just found the jackpot, Connor exclaimed. Shall we? Micah and Connor rushed to the front entrance. The doors were knocked off their hinges with large bits of broken wall having fallen and blocked half the doorway. As Micah and Connor squeezed through the front entrance, they were greeted with more excitement. The front room, assumed to have once been the lobby, was covered in foliage, bricks, and papers too dirty to read. Dust particles glistened in the sun's rays. In front of the rest of the interior, shrouded in dimming light, stood a desk. Vines crept over the top, the table's color having been faded from exposure to the elements. Liz has no idea what she's missing out on right now, Micah said, stunned. Don't worry, I came prepared, Connor said, pulling out 2 flashlights and 2 masks from his backpack. He handed one of each to Micah, and with that, they were off. The cracks on the ceiling allowed some light to illuminate the first floor. Micah and Connor found some stairs that promised more below, but saved it for later. There were a lot of rooms with a lot of equipment that hasn't seen much use in a long time. Papers still littered the floor, along with the remnants of shattered glass science equipment. Intrigued with what floor 1 had, they continued deeper, reaching a staircase leading to floor 2. Ladies first. Connor bent over and allowed Micah first, Micah blowing Connor a kiss. They went down to the next floor. The rooms quickly got darker. Micah and Connor turned their flashlights on and began investigating the other rooms. The second floor wasn't too different from the first floor. More paper, more dust, and more glass shards. Right before they left, they discovered a door that creaked ever so slightly open. A plate laid face down on the floor. Going inside was an office, a skeleton of what it once was, but unmistakable in its importance. Minus the dust, the room was still well kept. The desk and drawers had legible documents, mostly containing legal mumbo-jumbo, long outdated. In one of the drawers was a cassette player and a few tapes. Micah and Connor shared a glance. Connor replaced the batteries and played a tape. June 21st, 1985. Progress is slow. I've started overseeing Project BS. Fitting name if you ask me. This healing serum we're developing is a bunch of bullshit. Just wish the Boogeyman was more cooperative with donating its blood. Poor Greg lost a hand last time. I can't help but feel slightly responsible for everyone's safety. Would have thought my dad beat that notion out of me. But born an empath, die an empath, I guess. I miss him. The tape stopped playing. Micah and Connor tried other tapes, but they were all blank. With nothing enticing them to continue searching, they went down another level, taking the cassette player with them. Level 3 was even darker. Instead of rooms with tables and outdated technology, they found massive glass cages, each one given a special room. The cages had unique habitats. Some rooms were noticeably colder. Some had sprinklers above large leaves and trunks. Micah stumbled upon a room at the end of one of the halls. Instead of a large glass cube, it was buried in the ground, filled with water. What kind of laboratory is this where they just have this massive pool 3 floors down? Micah asked himself. Connor looked around the room and spotted a file near the tank. He picked it up and read it aloud. Case file number 081933. Loch Ness Monster. Huh. Connor opened the file to find what seemed like 100 documents. Most fell onto the floor, some fell into the water. The ones that survived, Connor read. Native to Loch Ness, the Loch Ness Monster resembles a plesiosaur, a species of aquatic mammals that went extinct approximately 66 million years ago, following the end of the Cretaceous period. There is only one documented instance of this species of plesiosaur still alive, being held in captivity here. Scientists have not yet figured out the creature's origins, though many hypothesize that the creature was born with a special DNA pattern that allowed it to survive for so long, as is common with other mythical creatures. Connor stopped reading to take in the information. The damn Loch Ness Monster. Connor could barely believe his own mouth. These people had Nessie in there? Connor thought while scanning the water. Micah looked through it as well. In the far back, he was barely able to make out something floating. Hey Connor, do you see that over there? Micah said. Connor shifted his flashlight to what Micah was referring to. Indeed, they saw a blue mass laying still in the water. The distance made it hard for the boys to make out what exactly it was, but they made the connection that it was the legendary Loch Ness Monster. What the fuck? It's real? Connor asked. Wait, if it was alive for millions of years, how come it's dead now? Micah noted. He and Connor looked at each other for a second, hoping that the other had some kind of answer. Alas, neither did. They retraced their steps and walked back into the other rooms, hoping to find more. Most rooms didn't have anything except for one. Micah found a document held together by a paperclip. Case file number 15100, Unicorns. Unicorns are a unique breed of equidae, known for their distinctive horn on the front of their heads. Unicorns, like all mythical creatures, have a special genetic code in their DNA that allows for extended lifespans and enhanced physical properties. Their horns serve two major purposes: attracting a mate and dueling with other unicorns and predators. Their horns can glow in several light shows by rapidly changing the pigment in their horns, similar to chameleons, mixed with a bioluminescence in their blood. This has led many to believe that unicorns possess some variety of magical properties. Although this is believed to be false, it is worth noting that the bioluminescence in the unicorn's horn, hair, and blood can have powerful energetic properties. Currently, several scientists are experimenting with unicorn hair, with promising results to come in the next few years. This is getting weird, Micah said. Connor nodded in agreement. Micah looked back over at the cage and noticed a hole in the glass. Peering into the cage, he saw the skeleton of what could be assumed to be a unicorn, with a hole in the middle of the skull. Micah and Connor walked out of the room and found their way into a more open main room. This is creepy, Connor, Micah said. I'm getting the feeling that... Micah stumbled backwards. His foot stomped as he slid off of something around. What was the... Micah aimed his flashlight at a skull. It had bits of rotten flesh still attached. The sockets were hollow, several teeth were missing, and the head was found several feet away from the body. Connor shone his light all over the floor, revealing the remains of numerous people. Their minds raced, hearts pounded as the horrific remains of the once living now lay aged and mangled. They examined the walls, revealing large cracks with specks and globs of dried blood painting the huge dents. Micah and Connor kept looking back at the way they came, but there was still another floor to go. They knew they shouldn't, but their morbid curiosities told them to delve deeper into this gravesite. They finished gathering their bearings and ventured to the next level. The rooms were far more claustrophobic. On the left and right, closest to the stairs, were the bathrooms for men and women. Further down the corridor, they were met with a large steel door, bent outward towards Micah and Connor. Above the door, there was a sign welded into the wall. As Micah and Connor raised their flashlights above the door to read the sign, the lights flickered, making the text hard to read. The only words they were able to make out were, "Authorized personnel only." They tiptoed through the door, their flashlights flickering off and on again. The room, from what they were able to tell, was larger than any other. In the middle, taking up most of the space, was a large square pit, the top serving as a pier, surrounded by glass. One of the glass panels was completely smashed. Looking into the pit, the walls were covered in blood and scratch marks. Over the speakers, music tuned in and out. How the hell does this place still have electricity? Connor asked. He looked at Micah. Unicorn hit. Micah looked right past Connor. Connor turned around. From the back of the room, in the pitch blackness, shone two green lights. Micah trembled in place. Connor quickly changed focus from Micah to the lights. The lights remained motionless. Hey, Micah, you still with me, man? Connor said. Micah snapped out of it. Yeah, sorry. I could have sworn that it was something else, he said. Connor turned back around. The lights were still there. They scanned the rest of the room. Micah noticed a door to the side. Venturing in, he found what appeared to be a control room. Large rows of desks with computers, a board in the back, and a million screens in the front. Micah continued looking around, checking the chairs and floor. Connor went to the back and found a desk, one larger than the rest. On top, perfectly placed for someone to find, was another cassette tape. Picking it up and inserting it into the cassette player, Connor pressed play. May 15th, 1990. Today marks another uneventful day. Like, that's fucking news. Every time we want to try something new, test out a brand new idea, it just results in jack shit. I don't know why we still try at this point. The recorder takes a moment to breathe. Sorry for coming across as negative. It's really hard knowing what to do next without him. I guess, to lighten things up, Catherine and I have been talking more lately. I have a date planned in a couple days, so I'm looking forward to that. Sean's being a douche lately. That guy he's a lot of things, but certainly not right in the head. It might be smart to have to let him go pretty soon. I hope he takes it well. Yeah, that's very fucking wishful. Oh well. If there's one thing I'm certain of, is that I will try my damnedest to make my parents proud. Bring some honor to the Edwest name. The tape stopped playing. Dad? Micah screamed out. Connor's eyes were wide, keeping the focus on the tape recorder. How long has he been hiding this? Connor asked. I don't know, Micah began. I mean, a lab to study mythical creatures? All those people? It's just... what the frick? Okay, I think we overstayed our welcome. Wouldn't want to disturb any ghosts, Connor said. Connor, I am not in the mood for jokes, Micah said. Sorry, force of habit, I guess. Micah and Connor started making their way out of the room. Stepping outside the door, Connor made his way back through the large steel door. Micah turned back around. There was only darkness. He began to breathe slightly harder. Hey, you good, bro? Connor asked. Micah turned around and followed closely behind Connor, nodding in response. The boys made their way back up to the third floor, getting one last good look at the bodies before heading up the last 2 flights of stairs. At long last, they found the first floor. They looked up through the cracks in the ceiling, seeing stars and hearing the chirp of crickets outside. Damn, how long were we in there? Connor asked. It only felt like an hour at most. They walked back to the front entrance, Connor being the first to step foot back on the driveway. Micah made it to the receptionist's desk and stopped. His chest hollowed and his hair stood up. Questions flooded Micah's head. He looked back one last time to take it all in. 2 green lights came from the furthest reaches of the darkness. The crickets stopped chirping. Micah's heart beat in his ears. He shone his flashlight down the corridor, but the beam didn't reach those 2 lights. Micah squinted, trying to make out the source. Then the lights blinked. They slowly started to inch closer to Micah, stopping at the edge of his flashlight's reach. Micah began to breathe aggressively. Despite the lack of visibility, he was able to make out a shape. It wasn't human. It was big. The lights then turned away from Micah. He swore he saw a tail as the thing retreated back into the void. Then Micah's flashlight flickered and died. In an instant, the lights snapped back to Micah. His heart jumped into his throat. With terrifying speed, the creature rushed towards Micah, never breaking eye contact. Connor taking notice at Micah being stationary, walked over to check on her. Connor's flashlight briefly swung into the building, and before Connor could get a word out, a sharp, stinging noise echoed from the building. Connor snapped to the source, spotting the creature running deep into the laboratory. Without a word, Micah and Connor ran away from the building and back to Micah's home. Through brush and bramble, the boys rushed against their natural capabilities. They could hardly stop to think about their way back home, their only guide being the gravel path. Eventually finding the clearing, then finally sure they were on the right path, the boys didn't once dare look back or think about any other noise. Nothing was worth the risk of being sure. They were out of breath, their lungs ready to implode, but they couldn't stop. They eventually made it back to Micah's house and ran inside. Micah slammed the door behind them and locked it. The two finally slumped to the floor to catch their breath. In the living room, Adam and Justin heard the noise coming from the front door. They got up off the couch and walked towards the front door and saw Connor and Micah hyperventilating and staring at the ceiling like they saw their lives flash before their eyes. "Where the hell have you two been?" Justin asked. Connor wasn't able to give a response. Micah was too busy choking on his own attempts to catch a breath. "Are you boys okay?" Adam asked. Micah was finally able to mutter a word. Or at least he tried to. Hey. Well, I'll take you over to the living room, and we'll give you a few minutes, okay?" Adam asked. Connor and Micah nodded. Adam and Justin walked Connor and Micah over to the couch and sat them down, finding room to sit next to them. "Catherine!" Adam called out Catherine. She walked down the stairs in her nightgown. "Yeah?" she said with a yawn. "Oh, hey boys. Did you have fun?" Catherine took notice of Micah and Connor's expressions. She sat down in between Micah and Connor, holding both in her arms, reassuring them that they were safe. Micah and Connor finally calmed down. "Are you guys okay? What happened?" Catherine asked. "Connor and I found this lab in the middle of the woods, and we found bodies, and we found a monster in the dark with green eyes, and it started chasing us, and we ran, even though thought we were going to die, and then we ran. Micah, slow down." Catherine placed her hand on Micah's shoulder. "It's okay. You're safe now. I've got you two in my arms. Everything will be alright." Catherine spoke softly. "Now, can you say that again? I couldn't quite understand what you said." Micah sniffed. He took one big breath. He exhaled. "Connor and I found this lab in the woods. We found some bodies, and we found a monster that started to chase us. Then we ran back home," Micah said. Adam and Catherine looked horrified. "You found a monster at a lab?" Adam said. Micah nodded aggressively. "Connor, you right in the head?" Justin asked. "We found a tape that said you and Mom worked there as well," Micah said. Adam's face was stern and hard with wide, sunken eyes. "You found a lab in the middle of the woods?" Adam's words shook in his mouth. He huddled around the boys and held them tightly. "I don't think you realize how lucky you are. There's something I need to tell you." Chapter 4. Elizabeth slumped over her desk. Thoughts ricocheted off of her skull when she was supposed to finish her homework. She thought about floating away, letting the cool breeze take her out of her chair and through the ceiling, letting her feel the clouds, watch the world beneath her. She thought about Micah and what he and Connor were up to without her. She looked down, and there they were, sitting on a grassy hill, cloud watching. Micah was recognizing patterns. Connor was oogling at a cool rock he found. She looked closer. The grass bent next to Micah roughly in the shape of her, but she wasn't watching the clouds with him. Instead, she was in the clouds. She wasn't even there either. No. She was in her chair, staring blankly at her homework. Someone knocked on her bedroom door 3 times, taking her out of her daydream. Elizabeth turned around, telling the person on the other side to come in. The door opened, and in stepped Elizabeth's dad, Zach. He walked over to Elizabeth and sat down on her bed adjacent to her desk. With short hesitation, he spoke. "Hey, Lizzie, are you getting your work done?" he asked. "I was. I'm having trouble focusing right now," she responded. Zach looked down anxiously. He looked back up. "Hey, everything is okay between us, right?" he asked. Elizabeth took a second to think over an answer. Of course, they were in a good relationship. Elizabeth didn't have any bad blood with her dad. Still, he awaited an answer. Yeah, Elizabeth said. Just a bit down right now, I guess." Zach went to speak, but held his tongue. "Well, I just wanted to say that I'm proud of you," Zach said. "I don't feel like I say that enough. Thanks." "I'm gonna take a shower," Elizabeth said, finally getting out of her chair. Zach nodded, hugged his daughter, and left her room. Elizabeth grabbed a change of clothes, walked to the bathroom, and ran a hot shower. She kept thinking about what her dad said. Elizabeth felt as if an opportunity slipped away. She kept thinking about Micah. In her daydream, she kept thinking about him and Connor being happy together. They didn't even seem to notice she wasn't there. Elizabeth hoped it was all in her head, but even still, she couldn't help but feel like she was right. She finished her shower, put on her change of clothes, and got ready for bed, ready to sleep the bad thoughts away. "So let me get this straight. You and Mom both worked at that lab in the middle of nowhere, studying mythical creatures." Micah repeated his dad's long and boring monologue. Adam nodded. "And Connor and I just ran away from the Boogeyman?" Micah asked. Adam nodded. "And you never told me because I would never believe you?" Micah asked. "Yes," Adam said. I guess I wouldn't have." Micah turned to Connor, hoping he'd have some input. "What happened to the people that escaped?" Connor asked. "They found new lives. Either they moved to a different state, or country, or got a new job here," Adam answered. "Our doctor, Dr. Jacobs, used to work there. He quit a few years prior for personal and safety reasons, but we stayed in touch." "Okay, I believe that. There's just one thing that is bugging me," Justin stated. "You said the glass was bulletproof." "Yeah," Adam said. "So, how'd it break so easily?" Justin asked. "I don't know. All I remember is that someone called me to the Boogeyman's containment. I heard someone running behind me. I stepped aside, and then they just ran right through the glass." "Huh." Adam put his fist to his chin. "You sure that glass was bulletproof?" Justin asked. "It was. Shot at it myself." "Unless someone replaced it," Adam responded. "Yeah, but why?" Micah asked. Adam pondered. "We can worry about that later. Right now, we know that the Boogeyman is after Micah and Connor, and probably Elizabeth too. We have to find it and stop it before it can do any more harm to us," Catherine said. Adam nodded. "You're right. And we already know where the Boogeyman is hiding out at, so that gives us an advantage," Adam said. "Great! So what are we gonna do?" Micah asked. "I'm not sure. We'll think of something," Adam responded. "Alright, this has been enlightening," Justin said in a slightly sarcastic tone. "I'm heading home. Can't keep the missus waiting forever." "Can I stay the night?" Connor asked. That's up to them, Justin said. I've got no issues with that, Adam said. Micah and Connor went upstairs. How do you feel now that you've told Micah? Catherine asked worriedly. Honestly, it felt kind of liberating in a way. Finally being able to get this off my chest. Adam sighed in relief. Like all good things, it didn't last forever. Oh fuck! Micah opened the door into the guest room. Connor walked in, yawning. After letting Connor settle into the guest bed, Micah walked back into his own room and climbed into bed and dozed off. In his dream, he sat still on a swing set. The air was bleak and lacked any color. Micah turned right, seeing his school. In the space between the school and himself were rows upon rows of tombstones, each with names Micah didn't recognize, but still felt familiar. Micah turned back to see a flock of blue jays gathering on the ground in front of Micah. Unlike the area around them, they kept their natural colors. After a minute, all 5 birds flew into the woods together. The air grew chilly. The wind howled, pushing Micah's hair far behind his head. Micah could feel the moisture in the air, shooting into his eyes when he tried to look forward. As the wind died down, 4 of the blue jays flew from the woods. Micah waited to count the last blue jay, but it never arrived. Micah turned to see where the 4 blue jays had flown off to, only to see them suspended in animation. Micah turned back to the woods. In stark contrast to the black, whites, and gray color palette of the environment around him, there were 2 green lights, glowing, growing. From the woods emerged an enormous and hideous creature. Its face was blunt and sharp. It stood tall on all 4s, the front limbs having long, flexed claws. Its thick digits made Micah shudder at the sight. As the creature approached, its long and slender red body began to coil around Micah like a snake prepping for dinner. Then Micah noted the tail, around the length of the beast, tipped with 2 sharp, serrated blades. It huffed a gut-wrenching odor from its black mouth. The smell was so pungent, Micah felt his stomach lurch toward his throat and his eyes water. That's when Micah noticed its teeth. They were jagged and uneven, like broken glass. Stuck in its clutches was the last blue jay. Its blood stained the monster's teeth a deep red. The monster stood in front of Micah, assured he wasn't going anywhere. It blasted a warm and terrible smelling breath and turned to start walking back to the woods. As it walked away, it revealed the mangled corpses of Connor and Elizabeth. Micah jolted his attention back to the creature, only to be found alone once again. He felt something weigh in his hands. When he looked down, he saw he was holding the dead blue jay. Micah sprang up out of bed. His head was damp with sweat. Micah threw his blankets off of the bed. The sudden sensation of the cold air froze Micah for a moment. He couldn't muster the breath to scream. Micah pinched himself, relieved at the small pain it produced. He quietly climbed out of bed and walked into Connor's room. Micah paused for a second whenever the floor creaked even the slightest bit. Before Micah could even open the door, Connor opened it. "Oh, morning, sunshine," Connor said. "Hey man, just wanted to check in on you," Micah said. "Little creepy to be spying on me in the middle of the night like that, though," Connor said. "Well, what are you doing up anyways?" Micah asked. "I, had a nightmare." "You?" Connor asked. Same, Micah said. Hey, were you dreaming about me? Connor's voice changed from a playful demeanor to that of suspicion. I mean, you're in it, Micah said. You're gonna have to tell me yours. I'll tell you mine in a bit, Connor said. Sure, I'll go first. Micah walked into the room and closed the door. He leaned his back against it and rubbed the sweat off of his forehead. Micah fidgeted with his fingers, unsure of if Connor would take his dream seriously. Connor wasn't sure Micah would either. Chapter 5. The rest of the night dragged on for the boys. They wouldn't allow themselves to fall asleep. Micah kept thinking about seeing his two friends laying dead in front of him. He kept thinking of Elizabeth, pondering why she was there. He would talk to her about it once they got to school when the sun rose, when they would feel safer. For the first time in as long as he could remember, Adam didn't have that nightmare. He was still back at the lab, but everything was normal. Colleagues went about their business. Adam had been called down to the 4th floor in regard for the Boogeyman. He looked down the window. At the bottom of the deep pit, underneath a slab used to provide the only shade, lay the Boogeyman. It was tranquil. "Why'd you call me?" Adam questioned. A nearby scientist spoke up. "We think there's something wrong with the glass. Wanted to run it by you to make sure everything was up to snuff." Adam examined the glass closer. He didn't see it at first, but upon closer inspection, the glass was thinner than the panel right next to it. Just then, the lights went out, like a fuse blew. Adam heard footsteps rushing behind him. In an instant, he stepped out of the way, just as someone ran straight through the tampered glass, falling into the inescapable pit. As red lights started blaring, and as everyone else in the room ceased all movement, screams echoed off the chamber's walls. A crunch, then nothing. Adam's heart dropped. He couldn't believe his eyes as a set of claws grabbed the ledge of the chamber. Without another thought, Adam rushed out of the room, along with several other scientists. As Adam ran to the 3rd floor, several others gathered around in confused concern. "The Boogeyman escaped!" Adam shouted. Several scientists joined the flood of the ones that came up with Adam. He rushed to other rooms to warn other scientists, all of them fleeing and pushing past Adam towards the exit. Adam rushed out along with the scientists, but was quickly cut off from the Boogeyman, standing in the way of the exit. It roared out, lashing at everyone, swiping at some with its powerful claws, knocking others against the wall with its tail. Adam tried to dodge the flurry of attacks, but was hit in the face hard by a colleague being flung at him, both of them crashing into the wall. The Boogeyman snapped at everyone. It grabbed someone in its mouth, flinging them deep into the room, dislodging their arm in the process. Adam was dazed and couldn't stand. All he could do was listen to the screams of the massacre around him and the tearing of flesh until all was silent. When there was hardly anyone left to scream, Adam was able to hear the Boogeyman yelp and the slightest beam of light shining above. Though muffled, the person who appeared quickly left in horror, the Boogeyman following. Adam was able to see straight again. He examined the room around him and all the carnage that was left. He felt the blood and cuts from all over him. He no longer felt the strength to escape. Laying by a nearby desk was a cassette player already loaded with a cassette tape. Adam lifted his torso and grabbed it. Someone should know what happened. Maybe he would be able to save someone in the future. He gave out a speech. Once he finished, soft footsteps echoed from the 4th floor staircase. "How noble of you." A voice spoke out from behind him. Adam recognized the voice. I have got to say, I'm surprised you lived. Not really the plan, but let us call it a happy accident. Sean? Adam called out. Oh, so you do remember me. Sean stepped out into Adam's view, with his hands held behind his back. Did you do this? Adam asked. I had some help, but I don't mind being called a mastermind, Sean responded. Why? Adam asked weakly. It doesn't matter why. What does matter is that the Boogeyman is free, and it will come back. It will stay. It is in you. Sean leaned over Adam, smiling a crooked smile. You weren't here when this happened. I never saw you here, Adam spoke out, coughing up blood. No, I was not, Sean smirked. Then why are you here now? Adam asked, clenching his fist. Because you want answers, right? You want the answers to the questions long plaguing your mind. In truth, I never left. I stayed behind, Sean said. He chuckled softly. Why me? Adam asked. It's your nightmare, Sean responded. He walked over to Adam, grabbing him by the collar and lifting him up to his face. You want to know why you? Sean spat. You want to think I did this. You want someone else to blame because you genuinely think you are not responsible for the people that died this night. Say what you will about me, Adam. Think what you will about why this all happened. Listen to whatever comforting lies Catherine will vomit on you. There's no denying that you, directly or indirectly, are the reason so many more people had to die. Sean took a moment to breathe. Adam raised his head to meet his gaze with Sean, withdrawing what little breath he felt like he could snag. You want to know something, Sean? I've always hated you. You were never worth a damn when you worked here. You never gave a rat's ass about our research. You just wanted an outlet to torture. That's why I blame you. Adam choked out the last words. Adam choked out the words from a mixture of blood, spit, and Sean's grasp. You're just my nightmare. A gross hyperbole of the person I once knew. Sean stared directly into Adam's eyes. No. This is what's happened. Do you want to know why you see me? You honestly started to think it was me. Sean started to chuckle. The thing is, I'm not Sean. You want to know who I am? I am the fog that makes you hesitate. I am your subconscious telling you what may happen might never be undone. I am that voice in the back of your head reminding you of the damage you caused. I am the truth you deny. Sean threw Adam on the ground. Adam hit his back hard, knocking the wind out of him. You want to believe that this was not your fault, that your family is safe. You want to sleep assured that your error will leave you alone and not have to think about what it might do to everyone else. You want to think that it thought you were dead. Sean leaned down to Adam, veins bursting out of his neck. Adam pushed himself away from Sean, tears welling in his eyes. As Sean drew closer, his expression calmed. And you wish you were. You want answers, Adam? Sean stood up, towering over Adam. The Boogeyman let you live. You fooled no one but yourself. You will always live, destined to die with the fear of knowing you let something like that out. And as long as people know your story, you are the one to be blamed. Sean's voice calmed. Adam started to curl up, fighting and failing to hold back his tears. "You're wrong," Adam said weakly. "Am I?" Sean mocked. "You staged this. It was your lackey that couldn't get me killed. Whether or not I went in, the Boogeyman was going to be released. It wasn't my fault." Adam tried to stand up, but his arms shook too much to support him. Regardless, Sean began walking back into the darkness. "You still sent those people on its warpath. The Boogeyman is still out there. It is after your family." Sean began to chuckle. "And as long as it is out there, you will always live your life in fear." Sean disappeared completely. Two green lights peered at Adam from the darkness. The Boogeyman growled. Adam had trouble breathing. It inched closer. Adam shut his eyes in acceptance, hearing the footsteps getting quieter. Adam opened his eyes. The room was fully illuminated. Behind them stood the source. He saw Catherine. She bent down and picked him up, asking if he was okay. Adam nodded. He shut his eyes in her arms and woke up. Catherine was already halfway out of bed. She took notice as Adam also awoke. "Hey, honey. Sleep well?" she asked softly. "I had a different dream," Adam said. He began recounting his conversation with Sean. His eyes shot wide open. "The Boogeyman is after the kids." Catherine, without wasting a second, ran to check on Micah and Connor. The sun finally rose, peeking through the blinds of the room. Neither Micah nor Connor immediately noticed, their gaze fixed on the door. They couldn't believe their ears when they finally heard a noise coming from beyond the door. They started fearing the worst, that daylight wasn't enough. The door swung open with a loud creak. "Boys?" Catherine said in a panic. She looked at the ghastly expression of Connor and Micah. "Hey, you're safe now. The sun's up." Catherine walked closer, making sure not to suddenly startle them. Micah was the first to embrace his mother, relieved that the night was finally over. Catherine led the boys downstairs and fixed them breakfast, while they took the proper time to gather themselves. Catherine kept looking over, glad to see the boys finally becoming less tense, still sullen of what a night everyone seemed to have. Catherine placed 2 bowls of cereal on the counter and walked away, assured that the two will eventually eat. Catherine couldn't wrap her head over what Adam had said. She didn't want to believe that the Boogeyman, a monster that hadn't been a present threat for over 18 years, decided to show itself now. She worried even more about what she could do, even more still over the things she couldn't do. If worse came to worse and the Boogeyman stood against everyone she loved face to face, Catherine trembled at the possibility that she wouldn't be able to save them. If she would even be able to do anything at all. Catherine caught herself thinking negatively. The Boogeyman was handled. Her and Adam knew how to stop the Boogeyman. All was needed was some preparations. She made a mental note to gather some supplies, even thinking that it would calm Adam down if she let him come with her. She tensed slightly at the idea. Catherine tried her best not to imagine Adam recounting the same nightmare he's had a million times before. She wasn't sure if she could handle another one of Adam's sorrows before succumbing to her own. She felt her arms. At that moment, they felt as thin as sticks. For the first time in a while, Catherine truly thought that she couldn't help Connor and Micah had just finished their cereal in the other room. They grabbed their backpacks just as Adam walked downstairs. Micah waved his dad goodbye, and the two began walking towards school. Connor started chuckling softly. "What's so funny?" Micah asked. "You know, it's kind of ridiculous saying it out loud." Connor spoke softly. Micah raised his eyebrow. "I mean, we were nearly killed by the Boogeyman in a building your parents used to work at, and we fucking escaped it. It's just kind of wild to think about." Micah considered Connor's words for a moment before beginning to laugh to himself as well as the absurdity of it. "Do you think we should tell Liz?" Micah asked. "I mean, I don't know, man. It wouldn't hurt to at least tell her about the nightmare, though I doubt she'd buy the whole almost dying thing," Connor said. The two had walked most of the way to school, and in the parking lot, just as school buses were dropping off other students, Elizabeth caught a glimpse of Micah. She ran over and gave him a big hug. "Hey, Mikey!" Micah almost suffocated in her arms. Despite that, he managed to choke out a "Hey, Liz" in response. After she let go, Micah quickly glanced at Connor. Connor shrugged his shoulders. "How'd you sleep?" Micah asked. "I hardly could. I had a pretty intense nightmare last night," Elizabeth said in response. Micah and Connor locked eyes. "Yeah, us too. Do you want to talk about it?" Micah questioned further. "Well, I was on this playground and I saw this flock of birds." Micah and Connor's eyes widened. "They flew into the woods in front of me, but then this monster came out from the woods, and then I saw you two laying dead in front of me. I couldn't really sleep after that." Elizabeth kept walking along, almost oblivious to the fact that Micah and Connor stopped dead in their tracks. Elizabeth turned around. "What?" she asked. "Elizabeth, we had that exact same dream last night," Micah explained. Elizabeth looked at the two in confusion, not sure who to keep her focus on. "Well, that's weird," she said. "Yeah, probably just a coincidence, though," Connor said, regaining his composure. There was a slight crack in his voice as he spoke. The three continued into the school. After a few minutes, the school's bell rang. "Well, I've got to get to class," Micah said. "See you at lunch." Micah kissed Elizabeth on the forehead before she walked off to her class. "How long have you all been together for now?" Connor asked. "About 2 years now," Micah answered. "Damn, and still going strong." Micah took a second to think. "What about you?" "A lot of cute girls here," Micah said. "Not when you get to know any of them," Connor said. "Any cute guys got your eye?" Micah asked. "Well, there's this one, but he's currently dating this weird chick named Elizabeth Quiker," Connor joked. "She doesn't have to know." Micah and Connor laughed amongst themselves as they walked into their classrooms. They took their seats in the U-shaped format of the desks. Micah set his book bag on the floor and reached for one of his notebooks. As he brought his gaze back up, something caught his eye as he stared out the window. A flock of blue jays. "Hey, Connor, are you seeing this?" Micah asked. Connor looked to where Micah was looking. "Seeing what?" he asked. Micah looked back out the window, the blue jays already having taken off. "You know, ever since we've left that building, do you ever feel like we're being stalked?" Micah asked. "Yeah, but I'd say the weirder thing is all three of us having the same dream last night," Connor said. Micah was still wide-eyed. "I promise you that nothing is stalking us. You're just being paranoid because we had a nightmare," Connor said dismissively. "I don't think I'm being paranoid, Connor. Do you honestly think that it's a coincidence that you, Elizabeth, and I all had the exact same dream last night? Especially after what we saw at that lab? I mean, I really don't think my paranoia is unwarranted." Micah's voice raised despite him trying to keep a whisper. I'm just trying to calm you down, man. You get stressed out easily. Maybe it was the boogeyman, maybe it wasn't. I just think we were seeing things. It was late, that place is dusty, and I don't think we should rule out the possibility of us seeing shit. There's probably just a couple of fireflies. I'm just trying to see things from an objective standpoint, that's all. Micah wasn't buying any of Connor's words. Did you not see the place? It was destroyed. There were bodies everywhere. Did you not run too when it chased us? Maybe my eyes were deceiving me, but there was definitely something in there that wants us dead, and now I'm willing to bet that it's hunting us down. Good morning, class. Before we begin, Micah, Connor, is there something you want to say now before you interrupt me later? Mr. Cone spoke sternly. No, sir. It can wait till lunch. Micah hushed. Mr. Cone groaned. Of course it will. He spoke under his breath. Micah couldn't sit still. He kept darting his eyes between the window and the whiteboard. Dude, you good? Connor whispered to Micah. Micah shook his head. And his eyes kept going back and forth. Just as Micah started to ease up, staring out the window one last time, he spotted a blue jay, horribly mangled and twitching. He didn't want to believe it. Anything about that window you want to tell us, Micah? Mr. Cone spoke out. Micah shook his head no. Mr. Cone walked over to the window and shut the curtains, slightly dimming the room. Micah began to sweat. Connor took notice. Dude, do you need to go outside? I swear I can almost hear your heartbeat, Connor said, worried. No, it's fine. I'm fine, Micah said. Connor, could you please take Micah outside for a bit? I haven't even had coffee yet, and I'm not in the mood to deal with any distractions right now, Mr. Cone said. Yes, sir. Come on, bro, Connor said, helping Micah out of his seat. They walked into the hall and sat down. Dude, seriously, you good? I get that you had a nightmare, a pretty bad one at that, but you've surely had plenty before, right? So why is this one freaking you out so much? Connor asked. I don't know. I've just got this premonition about something, Micah said. Like? Are you sure we were hallucinating? Because that would have been pretty bizarre. Yeah, it was dark and dusty, but it was real. I swear all of it was. I even saw the same 5 birds outside the window. I even saw the one that was dead. Didn't you? Micah asked. I was more focused on you, Connor replied. I don't understand why you're acting like this. Like you didn't see the same thing I did at that lab. We all had the same dream, Micah queried. Maybe because we went somewhere we shouldn't have gone. Something happened in there that I can't imagine, but it clearly wasn't meant for our eyes, so I'm doing my best to move past it, Connor said in a desperate voice. How can you? We should call the police by now, Micah said. They probably already know about it, like with the Jeep. That place has been abandoned for who knows how long, and for all we know, the police would have apprehended the killer by now, Connor exclaimed. How can you be so sure? What person can even do something like that? Micah asked. I don't know, man. Was there something in there? Sure there was. Some monster found us somewhere we shouldn't have been in the first place. And you know what? Maybe it did do all of that. It's just hard for me to continue believing that the boogeyman is stalking us in broad fucking daylight, Connor said. How can you not? This thing has been haunting my dad for the past 18 years, and he said that it's after us, Micah said. That doesn't prove anything, Connor said. My parents worked there, Connor, Micah shouted. Gosh knows how many people died in that building. You ran away from the same thing I did. You can't deny that, Micah shouted. You're right. I just wanted to move on, Connor admitted. I'm sorry I said that. It's alright. I'm sorry for snapping at you like that, Micah said. The two got up just as the bell rang. Micah walked down the other end of the hallway to his next class. He made it to his next class and threw his belongings by his side. His teacher, Mrs. Klotz, had already begun setting up for the lesson while the other students also walked into the classroom. The bell rang again soon after. "All right, class. Before we begin, we should be having an intruder drill at some point this period, so just be The intercom cut Mrs. Klotz off. "Good evening, Edwest High. We're going to be conducting our annual intruder drill now, so teachers, lock your doors and everyone find some place to hide, and we'll let you know when it's all over. Right now, I guess." Mrs. Klotz ushered everyone to hide beside the wall out of view from the door's window, while Mrs. Klotz locked it. The room fell quiet as school officials walked the halls, making sure the doors were locked. It continued on for several minutes. Micah could hear the clock tick away the seconds. He heard a commotion outside, but it wasn't unlike anything he came to expect. Someone in the hallway spoke out. "Hey, what are you doing? You should be in class." A delinquent was likely, though Micah figured it was someone in the bathroom coming out, but the man's tone gave Micah some pause. "Did you hear what I said? Hello? Hey, did you hear what the hell is that?" The man started running, but it was short-lived. He screamed out in pain and panic as the sound of wet meat echoed down the hallway. The cries in pain wouldn't stop. Eventually, the man finally fell quiet. Not soon after, the intercom came back on. "All right, everyone. That concludes our intruder drill. You may now continue with your..." What's that? See what? It's everywhere? Slow down, you're not making sense. What? Footsteps rushed down the hallway, Micah swearing he could hear people gasping and chatting amongst themselves. After a few painful minutes, the intercom came back on. "Good news, students!" His voice was shaky and unsure. "We are cutting school a little early. Students, you may begin walking towards the bus stop. However, I will have to let you know that the back hallway will be closed off for the time being. Thank you for your understanding. Have a good day." The voice rushed his words. Micah muttered under his breath, "Oh, God." As he walked out into the hallway, his morbid curiosity told him to peek at the blocked-off hallway. The glimpse he got from where he was at the doorway told him everything. The usually white walls were covered in a thin and fresh coat of red. Micah wasted no time and bolted to the bus stop, pushing past students and teachers alike. As Micah reached the outdoors, he bumped into Connor and Elizabeth. "Connor?" Micah said breathlessly. "Yeah?" "Paranoia my ass." Chapter 6. By the time the three of them had walked into Micah's house and made their way inside, Adam and Catherine were staring at the television. On it, news had already been broadcast about the homicide at Edwest High School. Adam's eyes were wide and unblinking. Catherine kept her hands to her mouth. "Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad," Micah said from the doorway. Adam and Catherine got off the couch and ran towards Micah. They embraced all three of them, and without another word, left the house. "Where are they going?" Connor asked. Micah shrugged his shoulders. Not too long after, they heard the sound of a car starting, then speeding away. "Away, I guess," Elizabeth stated. Micah, Connor, and Elizabeth had fully made their way inside. "Connor, I fucking told you!" Micah shouted. "Whoa! You kiss your mother with that mouth?" Connor said. Micah wasn't having it. "I told you we were being followed. That thing wanted us dead. But no, you just wanted to pretend that it was some fucking fireflies. Well, deny that!" Micah pointed at the TV as the news reporter continued talking about the graphic details. Connor was shaking, his eyes locked on the television. Okay, what is happening? Elizabeth said. What is following you? The Boogeyman, Micah said. Elizabeth looked puzzled. Ridiculous, ain't it? Elizabeth nodded. Micah caught himself before he could continue yelling at Connor, realizing the absurdity of what he was saying. Micah chuckled to himself. Well, it's true. We walked into the lion's den, and the lion's hungry for us. And this moron thought it was all in my head, Micah said accusingly. Micah, you need to calm down. I'm sorry I said that. You have every right to be upset at me, but that's not going to change the fact that we're all in deep shit right now. The Boogeyman has its sights set on us, and I don't know about you, but if this lion wants us dead, I ain't going down without a fight, Connor said. Micah started to calm down. His breath, once heavy, now wheezed. His eyes began to well up, but he couldn't fully bring himself to cry. Boys, someone died at our school. You're saying it's the Boogeyman. Your parents left, and you're at each other's throats. I don't know what's gotten into the both of you, but you're going to need to sort it out, Elizabeth said. Micah looked back at Elizabeth. You're right. I'm sorry for yelling and cussing. I'm just scared, Micah said. Dude, I am too. I'm sorry for trying to ignore the problem. Let's just wait for Adam and Catherine to get back. Then we discuss the game plan, aight? Connor suggested. Fine, Micah said. He walked over and slumped down on the couch. He finally gained an interest in the news. The drive felt like a race against time. Adam wasn't even entirely sure the supermarket was going to have what they needed. He was red in the face. Adam, breathe, Catherine said. Adam began to relax. It'll be fine. We got this, she said reassuringly. I've waited too long. We've got to finally end this. Adam wasn't entirely sure if he even believed his own words. On one hand, he wanted to finally end the nightmare. On the other hand, he didn't even want to think about seeing the Boogeyman again. As they reached the parking lot and made their way inside the supermarket, Adam and Catherine agreed to split up. We are going to need as much salt as you can get your hands on, Adam said. Catherine nodded. I'll go grab some lights and some batteries. We'll meet back at the car. Catherine understood. With their shopping lists in mind, they were off. Catherine walked up and down the aisles, grabbing every container of salt she found. Her head raced. She shuddered at the thought of seeing the Boogeyman also. More so, if whatever plan they would come up with would even work. More, if everyone would make it out alive. Katie? Catherine heard a familiar voice and looked at the direction of the noise. Oh, Justin. Pleasure bumping into you here, Catherine said. Justin looked at the shopping cart full of salt. Warding off evil spirits? Justin asked. Oh, kinda, Catherine said. She wasn't sure if Justin would believe her. Is Connor still at your house? Justin asked. Catherine nodded. Can you bring him home when you get back? This homicide at the high school has everyone in the precinct worried something awful, Justin said woefully. Oh, I would be glad to. Yeah, everyone's a bit scared mindless right now. Catherine held her head low. So what's been going on with you? How's Adam? Justin asked. Struggling. Nothing against Adam, but it's just been hard keeping with him. From how he's been acting lately, he sounded like he started to get better, but that's what worries me, Catherine stated. Justin raised an eyebrow. What you mean? Did something happen between you two? Catherine sighed. No, it's pretty hard to explain. Catherine's voice started to shake. Hey, I ain't gonna intrude. Just worried about y'all. Been so caught up worrying about everyone else, you don't worry about yourself, Justin said. You could say that again, Catherine took more time to think on what to say next. I love my Adam to bits and tiny pieces. I'm just worried all my efforts have been in vain, I guess, Catherine said. Don't beat yourself up about it. It's a big ask doing what you're doing. My perspective? I see you two being about as unbreakable as it gets. That man loves and appreciates you more than you could know. You're a good person, Katie. Don't let your doubts tell you otherwise, Justin said. Thank you. I really needed to hear that. Catherine dried her eyes and gave him a half hug just as Adam walked around the corner. Hey, Kate. How goes it? Adam walked up to them. Oh, hey, Justin. Justin waved at Adam. Kate and I just got done catching up. Your boy doing alright? Justin asked. Not at all. All three of the kiddos came home scared shitless, Adam responded. Don't blame them. When I got to the school, it looked something out of a horror movie. It was ugly, and you wouldn't believe the smell if the devil told you about it. I feel awful for the victim. I and the others are absolutely stumped on how such a scene could have occurred. Sure shit wasn't no shooter. Possible bombing, but no one heard anything of the sort. Justin put his hands on his hips while recounting what he saw at the school. Justin then took notice of the large assortment of flashlights and batteries. You preparing for the apocalypse or something? Justin asked. No. Well, kinda? Adam stumbled out. Just meeting with an old colleague. You know you can tell me, right? Justin said. I know, but there's not many ways I can tell you we're fighting the Boogeyman, Adam said. Do you need my help with anything? Justin asked. Hate to see you all so panicked, Justin said. Well, if we need you, we'll be sure to call, Catherine stated. With a handshake farewell to Justin, Adam and Catherine proceeded to check out. They scanned their goods and walked back to the car, ignoring the weird glances the cashier gave. Other people's perceptions didn't matter to them anymore. The drive home didn't feel like it took as long, despite being the same distance. As Adam and Catherine pulled into the driveway and started hauling their groceries inside the house, they saw Micah, Connor, and Elizabeth all talking to themselves. Micah was the first to notice his mom and dad walking with a large amount of bags. What's all that? Micah asked. Crap ton of salt and a crap ton of lights and batteries, Adam said. What's today, Wednesday? Catherine asked. Adam checked the calendar. No, Thursday, he corrected her. Why? Micah inquired. We are going to need to come up with a game plan for stopping the Boogeyman, and it's going to involve a lot of salt and a lot of lights, Catherine answered. They finished bringing the rest of the grocery bags inside the house and sat Micah, Connor, and Elizabeth at the counter. Here's how we captured the Boogeyman the first time, Adam began. The Boogeyman's real? Elizabeth said. Adam shot a look at Micah and Connor. You told her? He asked. We all had the same dream about the Boogeyman, so yeah, we did. She's in just as much possible danger as the rest of us, Micah said. Doesn't matter. Look, how we did it the first time was to trap the Boogeyman in a ring of salt. What that'll do is make an impenetrable barrier that can't cross through, Adam said. The light is to hurt it. So, what should we do? Connor asked. You three are staying out of this. Can't risk bringing any harm to the three of you, Adam snapped. Micah cringed slightly at the explanation. What? Adam asked. How do you plan on luring the Boogeyman into the salt ring? Micah asked. Adam went to speak, but no words left his mouth. Dad, let us help, Micah suggested. Adam sat for a second. He looked at everyone and considered his options. He hesitated, but the words came out all the same. Do you still have that flashlight I gave you for your birthday? Adam asked. Micah nodded and grabbed his backpack and pulled out the Nikto No More flashlight. Adam was ecstatic. I'm so glad I got that for you. We're definitely gonna need that, Adam said. We're gonna need someone to bait the Boogeyman into the ring. Adam rubbed his chin. He got an idea. The Boogeyman will likely be hiding out in the laboratory. If anyone should bait the boogeyman into the salt ring, it should be me. Catherine, you, Connor, and Elizabeth will set up the salt rings. Micah, I'm having you help me set up flashlights around the hallway entrances. After everyone is in place, I will bring the boogeyman to the trap. Once it's in the room with us, I want Micah to start shining his flashlight on the boogeyman while everyone else turns on the other lights. Then, once the boogeyman is inside the salt ring, I want everyone to close the barrier and make it as thick as possible. Got that? Adam said. Mostly satisfied with the plan, everyone agreed. Alright, Connor and Elizabeth, your parents are waiting for you. I'll take you both home. If you want to come help us tomorrow, meet back here at dusk. If not, I understand, Adam said. We'll be there, Elizabeth said. As Adam loaded Connor and Elizabeth into the car, Micah and Catherine shared uncertain looks. I'm scared, Micah said. I know. I am too, Catherine agreed. Elizabeth walked into her house, seeing Zach pacing back and forth. He caught sight of her and immediately hugged her. Oh, I'm so glad you're okay, Zach said, relieved. Me too, Dad, Elizabeth said. She began walking to her room, being sure to greet her grandma as she passed her room. Elizabeth slumped onto her bed, her heart pounded and her mind raced. She couldn't make heads or tails of what she heard at Micah's house. The monster in her nightmare was hunting them. It didn't make any sense whatsoever. There's a laboratory somewhere. Micah and Connor definitely knew about it. She wondered what else she was being left out of. Then someone knocked on her door. Hey, Lizzie, Zach said, peering his head through the door. Hey, Dad, Elizabeth said. She gestured Zach to come in. He closed the door behind him and sat beside her on her bed. Elizabeth stared at the ceiling while Zach rocked back and forth while attempting to figure out what to say. Well, I'm assuming there's not going to be any school for a bit, right? Zach asked. Elizabeth turned to him. Dad, really? She asked. I know. I'm just worried, he said with a shake. Well, I'm fine. You might be off the rest of the week. Hopefully by then the purple will have been caught, she told him. Zach slowly stopped rocking. He tapped his fingers on the side of the bed, opening and closing his mouth. Elizabeth turned her attention to her father. Her breath wavered. Finally, Zach spoke. Well, I'm glad you're safe. He finally stood up and made his way out to the door. He turned around. One last thing. Elizabeth turned to face him. You're the best. He finished his sentence quickly and shut the door. Elizabeth turned back around, slamming her head on her pillow with a loud groan. She laid there for a minute. Her own mind turned into clouds, overlooking Micah and Connor. There they sat, holding each other while shaking. Micah pointed at the sky while mumbling something to Connor. They continued to converse while Elizabeth floated above, seemingly so close, yet as distant as the sky. Her face strained red. Every muscle tensed. She tried to keep calm. Micah didn't like it when it rained. Chapter 7. Micah sat in his bed. He clicked his flashlight. He held the batteries in his hand so as to not burn out the bulb. He turned the flashlight on earlier and nearly blinded himself from the instant illumination. Micah looked over at his pillow and felt his heart push against his ribcage. The window into his room was cracked open, allowing for the slightest draft in. Micah could feel the sweat on his forehead grow colder. Tried as he might, his mind couldn't help but think about the events that would transpire soon. He clicked his flashlight faster. His leg bounced quickly. He had already escaped the boogeyman once, and even only being given a taste of what the monster was capable of made Micah exaggerate all thoughts beyond his logical thinking. How does Connor do it? Micah thought to himself. The cold air seeping in through the window, combined with the stress, was about to make Micah vomit. He got up out of bed and walked to the window to close it, gaining a quick glance outside. In the far reaches of the backyard were 2 green lights. Micah immediately ducked under the window. He felt his every muscle tense up and forced Micah to stay still. Micah didn't want to believe the boogeyman was there. It's not real, Micah told himself. It's not real! Micah fought against his instincts to prove himself wrong. As he peered into the dimly lit backyard, he saw more green lights. They flickered randomly and moved chaotically. Micah breathed a sigh of relief. It's just fireflies. Micah chuckled to himself. He looked back over to his bed. His brief moment of joy quickly dissipated. Micah couldn't stand another thought of climbing back into bed for fear he'd fall asleep. Micah spent the rest of the night sitting underneath the window, clicking his flashlight. Connor was in a similar position. While he had no problem laying in bed, he was being kept up by the sound of his parents arguing. He tried to drown out the noise by covering his ears with his pillow with little success. He shut his eyes in hopes that it would be able to lull him asleep. The sound of a door slamming brought his eyes wide open. He heard someone walk around outside his bedroom. A stickier sounding door opened and closed. Then he heard the TV playing. Connor wasn't able to make out the noise. He got out of bed and made his way to the living room. There, sitting on the couch, was Justin. Justin was snacking on a bag of chips and sipping a glass of water. He took notice of Connor as he made his way over to the refrigerator and also grabbed a bottle of water. Justin's eyes followed Connor as he joined him on the couch, then continued his focus on the TV. Justin's lungs inflated, ready to make a noise Justin wasn't sure of, then slowly exhaled. Where's Mom? Connor asked. Justin nearly choked on the water. She went to your grandparents for the night. Your grandpa isn't feeling too well, and she wanted to make sure he was alright, Justin explained. Connor continued to stare at Justin. Justin sighed. How much did you hear? He asked. Couldn't make out any real words, Connor said, looking back at the TV. Are you and Mom getting divorced? That knocked the wind out of Justin. When Connor asked, Justin thought about his recent relationship standing with his wife. He still loved her, but her thoughts didn't inspire the emotions it once did. Her space in Justin's mind didn't bring excitement, only partial apathy. No, just having a bit of a rough patch, Justin said. Connor wanted to believe that. The rough patches have become increasingly more common, and his mom becoming more and more distant. She was at home about as often as his dad was, and they rarely saw each other anymore. Connor got off of the couch and made his way back to his bedroom. He listened intently to the noises from the living room, feeling the wave of drowsiness finally wash over him. As soon as Connor felt the softness and the chill of his pillow combined with the noises of the living room TV, Connor fell back asleep. When the sun finally rose, Micah found himself waking up. Once he took notice, his heart skipped a beat. His hands began to tremble, but he was able to calm himself down once he realized he didn't dream of anything that night. Micah got up, his poor sleeping posture aching Micah's back as he did so. He made his way to the bathroom to freshen up. Micah stumbled his way downstairs yawning. He slouched on the couch, taking new notice to the comfort of it. Realizing, he jumped off the couch. He heard someone coming downstairs. He followed the sounds of footsteps until the source revealed themselves, being Adam and Catherine. Hey, sport. Sleep well? Adam asked. Micah shook his head. Didn't sleep. Micah yawned. Adam hid his eyes away from Micah. He didn't want to relate or understand. Catherine made her way to the kitchen and started to prepare breakfast and brew coffee. She kept quiet. Adam sat on the couch and turned the TV onto the news. Adam digested the weather reports and traffic jams while Micah loaded batteries back into his flashlight. Micah drowned out most of the babble that came over the news until one discussion came up. In other news, Edwest High is still currently closed due to the recent homicide that took place yesterday. Police and investigators are still searching for any possible leads or any suspects, but have yet to identify anything other than the victim's identity, that being 52-year-old Trevor Galtney, the school's janitor. Us at the station send our condolences to the Galtney family. Micah perked up at the news of the school's closure. Are we going now? Micah asked. No. The Boogeyman isn't going to be awake during the day, Adam said. For now, I want to get a head count for who all is helping tonight. As Adam finished speaking, the doorbell rang. Catherine walked over and welcomed Connor and Elizabeth inside. They entered the living room and took a seat next to Micah. I guess this means you two are joining us, Adam asked. Hell yeah! Strength in numbers and whatnot, Connor said. I want to help in any way I can, Elizabeth said. She had a level of uncertainty. Do you believe in the Boogeyman? Micah asked. I mean, our shared dreams, the homicide at school, your mom and dad's knowledge of it. Truth be told, I don't really know, but if I can help, I want to, Elizabeth said to everyone. Well, we are gonna need it, Adam said. I'm proud of you two. Adam, a word, Catherine said to Adam, escorting him away from the kids. I don't like this, she said. I hate this. The last thing I want is for anyone to get hurt, but we're gonna need all the help we can get. Justin is too busy to take us seriously. Zach's not gonna believe us. The kids already met it. They're the best help we're gonna get, Adam explained. Catherine shook her head. Still, what if one of them gets hurt? We'll go to Dr. Jacobs. He'll undo whatever the Boogeyman does, Adam said. We'll be okay, Kate. I'm sure of it. With a hug, the two of them regrouped with Micah, Connor, and Elizabeth. They talked over the plan one last time and waited for nightfall. The day dragged on. Time moved all the same. Just as the sun began to set, Adam loaded everyone into the car. He dumped all the salt they had bought into the shopping bags they brought them home in. Catherine dumped all the flashlights and batteries into the back. After triple checking that they had everything in everyone, they drove off into the woods. Adam remembered the path like the back of his hand. The gravel road had grown a carpet of grass over it, but that didn't slow him down. The drive allowed the sun to set behind the horizon, just as the stars dotted the night sky. Eventually, they pulled up in front of the laboratory. As they got out of the car, Elizabeth took the time to admire the building. Micah stood by her, gazing at the scene with her. Elizabeth leaned into Micah, taking in the moment while they could. Is it as beautiful as we thought? Micah asked. Elizabeth nodded. Alrighty then, let's catch us a Boogeyman. Micah and Elizabeth walked over to the car. Elizabeth grabbed several bags of salt with Connor and Catherine, while Micah and Adam grabbed flashlights, replacing each battery with fresh ones from the packages. They gathered each flashlight and walked inside with the others. Micah and Adam shone a couple flashlights to illuminate the corridors. Connor and Elizabeth began pouring salt in the shape of a C near the middle of the room. Micah had left one corridor dark. After preparing the trap, Adam set off in the dark. Adam trekked deeper into the building, his footsteps reverberating off of the dusty walls. He shone his flashlight along the various tables and papers. He came across the staircase that led to the next floor down. His heart skipped a beat at the sight. He gulped, balled his fist, and banged loudly on the door. Adam shouted and screamed. He kept his eyes trained on the staircase, listening carefully for the boogeyman's arrival. Adam never heard anything. He closed his eyes to better focus on the sounds around him. There never was one. Adam paid attention to every sense. He stood still. Eventually, Adam noticed the faintest smell. It was familiar. It smelt of rot. Adam spun around and focused his flashlight's beam behind him. The boogeyman fell to the floor, writhing like a trapped snake. Its cries pierced Adam's skull. In a quick motion, Adam turned his flashlight off and bolted for the exit. "Come on!" Adam shouted behind him. "Come and get me!" Adam heard the boogeyman give chase. Adam knew better than to check. Adam burst into the lobby. Micah shone a light down the hallway, but Adam quickly redirected Micah's light away. Adam shushed Micah and waited. All other lights had been turned on down other potential doorways. Adam kept his eyes trained down the hallway he came from until a familiar pair of green lights illuminated the darkness. "Come on," Adam said under his breath. "Come get some, motherfucker." The boogeyman slowly advanced towards Adam, eventually stepping into the room with him. "Now!" Micah turned the light on down the hallway, trapping the boogeyman in the room with everyone. The boogeyman growled after taking notice. "Hey!" Adam shouted. "Remember me!" The boogeyman changed its focus to Adam. Adam placed himself in the middle of the salt ring. The boogeyman inched closer. Adam was light on his feet, trying not to draw attention to the trap. The boogeyman stepped on the salt. It looked down. Micah quickly grabbed his flashlight and began to shine it on the boogeyman. The monster fell, screeching in pain. Its tail waved around chaotically. Micah kept his flashlight trained on the boogeyman. The boogeyman thrust its tail spike into Micah's flashlight, tossing it out of his hands. Micah stumbled forward as the boogeyman slowly stood back up, locking eyes with Micah. The boogeyman growled. Elizabeth grabbed the flashlight and shone it at the boogeyman, who quickly dispatched the flashlight also. The boogeyman began walking towards Elizabeth. She tripped on her feet, her back against the wall. The boogeyman's face mere inches from hers. Elizabeth felt around, grabbing whatever piece of loose rubble she was able to find and striking it across the boogeyman's face. The boogeyman took a step back from the blow. While it looked away, the green light from its eyes grew brighter. The boogeyman slowly returned its gaze to Elizabeth, revealing a series of eye sockets that looked painfully carved out, emitting a low rumble at the same time. Elizabeth's heart raced. Her mind was stuck in a fight-or-flight response, though neither option was worth its commitment. Elizabeth closed her eyes. The boogeyman once again started to writhe on the floor. Micah and Connor grabbed a flashlight they used to light up different hallways and kept the lights trained on the boogeyman. Micah kept his distance. With a nod, the two turned the flashlights off, allowing for the boogeyman to turn on the boys. The boogeyman rushed towards Micah. Micah quickly turned his flashlight back, causing the boogeyman to collapse right in the middle of the incomplete salt ring. Adam and Catherine grabbed the other salt bags they set aside and began filling in the remaining space. Elizabeth and Connor used the remaining flashlights to keep the boogeyman trapped. The boogeyman swung its tail wildly, knocking the flashlight out of Connor's hands and him into the wall. Adam and Catherine finished placing the salt around the boogeyman. The lights were turned off. The boogeyman threw its limbs everywhere like a mime. Adam and Catherine used the remaining salt to thicken the ring, ensuring it wasn't getting out. Everyone took a step back. Micah sat down, and everyone started catching their breath. The nightmare was finally over. Connor groaned. Micah aimed his flashlight at him. Connor grabbed his side. Micah saw the floor around him. It glistened. Micah illuminated the boogeyman's tail. Despite the light being shown on the boogeyman, it didn't react. It didn't struggle against the pain or attempt to escape the light. It let Micah view the tip of its tail. Its usually white spike was painted in a splotchy deep red. The boogeyman started laughing as Micah realized what happened to Connor. "Connor!" Micah shouted, stammering to stand up and rush to his friend. Adam, Catherine, and Elizabeth followed. Adam shone his light over Connor while Micah moved Connor's hand, which was clutching his side. "Holy shit!" Adam shouted, covering his mouth. "Come on, we gotta go." Adam and Catherine lifted Connor up off the ground and made their way back to the car, Elizabeth opening the door for everyone. They left the building, the boogeyman chuckling as they left. Once everyone was loaded into the car, Adam sped off faster than he had ever driven before towards the hospital. "Stay with us, Connor," Micah said, lightly tapping Connor's face. Connor was struggling to breathe. Micah's arms were becoming drenched in Connor's blood. Elizabeth was hyperventilating, holding Connor's hand. Micah pressed Connor's other hand against the wound in an attempt to keep the blood from spilling out of Connor. Eventually, they finally reached the hospital. Adam and Catherine pulled Connor out of the car, Micah continuing to press the wound and Elizabeth getting the door. Once inside, the receptionist took one look at Connor and immediately paged Dr. Jacobs. They didn't wait for his invitation and headed straight for Dr. Jacobs' office. Dr. Jacobs sat at his desk as everyone burst through the door. Dr. Jacobs saw Connor as everyone else stormed in. Without a word, Dr. Jacobs started to prepare himself while Adam and Catherine laid Connor on a table. "Hey man, Dr. Jacobs is gonna fix you up. Just hang in there," Micah said reassuringly. Connor winced at the slight nod he gave Micah. "Please tell me you still have some of the BSHS," Adam said. "I do," Dr. Jacobs said while trying to clean and sterilize Connor's wounds. After washing away most of the blood, Dr. Jacobs was able to create a clearer look at Connor's wound. It ran deep into his chest. Dr. Jacobs looked back at Adam. "I'm not sure it'll be enough, though." He quickly ran to his desk and pulled out a vial with a glowing orange liquid. He filled a small syringe with some of the BSHS and injected some into Connor's wound. "How can it not work? It worked on me," Adams asked. "You had mostly superficial wounds. This could have been a punctured lung. I don't know if it's strong enough to heal that." Dr. Jacobs responded while fetching more of the orange fluid. Micah and Elizabeth stayed by Connor's side, trying and failing to hold back tears. "Hey man, we did it," Micah said weakly. "We caught the boogeyman. How crazy is that?" Micah chuckled weakly. His hands trembled while holding Connor's. His lips quivered. Elizabeth attempted to speak, but wasn't able to find anything to say. "You were so amazing back there," Elizabeth finally muttered. "You really saved our bags. I'm sorry I didn't believe you guys about the boogeyman." She spoke with a shake. Elizabeth gripped Connor's hand tightly, leaning her head into them, crying like a clogged faucet, choking on her breath. Connor stopped shaking. His arteries glowed orange as the serum made its way through Connor's body. The wound started to close slightly, but the serum spilt out of his body before it could close the wound completely. Dr. Jacobs administered another dose of the serum. Through the pain, Connor mouthed the words, "I love you guys." Connor fell limp, his eyes closing. Micah began tapping on Connor's face again. He didn't react. "No," Micah said. He pressed the tips of his fingers at the base of Connor's neck. "No!" Micah shouted. Micah's head fell on Connor's chest, Elizabeth joining in. Dr. Jacobs placed his hand on Micah's shoulder. Catherine covered her mouth with her hands. Adam's heart sank. "I'm sorry," Dr. Jacobs whispered. The rain poured heavily outside. Micah sat next to Justin and his wife Amber. They all stared at the collage of pictures of Connor. Adam and Catherine stood in the back of the room, conversing with Zach and Elizabeth. "How did it happen?" Justin asked, still staring at the boards. Micah looked at Justin, unsure of what to say. It was an accident," Micah said. Justin looked over. "We were exploring an abandoned building we found. Connor fell onto something sharp. We rushed him to the hospital, but we were too late," Micah tried to explain. "Bullshit," Justin said, averting his attention from Micah. "Justin," Amber said, resting her hand on Justin's chest. "You know he wouldn't do it on purpose. It wasn't his fault." Justin attempted to collect himself. In his exhale, tears came with it. He held his hand to his eyes, allowing for the tears to roll down and drop to the floor. There wasn't a convincing enough lie Micah could come up with. He looked around at the other Stanpike family members that came, some finding comfort through conversation, others attempting to find whatever closure they could through the many pictures of Connor. Elizabeth walked over and sat next to Micah. She wrapped her arms around him. Elizabeth buried her face on Micah's shoulder, soaking his shirt in tears. They sat there, spilling emotions onto each other. After a while, they walked back to their parents, allowing for Justin and Amber time by themselves. Walking up to Adam, Catherine, and Zach, the five of them headed home. Chapter 8. As the sun rose over the horizon, the birds recognized their cue to sing their morning songs. Micah slowly opened his crusty eyes. He slept about as well as he normally did for the past week. He hated waking up. Every time Connor crossed his mind, he let out a tear. Micah groaned as he slowly rolled out of bed. After freshening up and putting on his change of clothes, Micah went downstairs. His parents had been up hours before he was. "Morning, champ. Sleep well?" Adam asked. The bags under his eyes started to clear up a bit. Micah shook his head. "I'm gonna go talk to Connor. I want to talk to him for a little bit," Micah said. "Oh, yeah, that's fine. Need a lift?" Catherine asked. "No, thank you." Micah grabbed a flower from a vase that was on the counter and made his way out the door. Catherine's eyes followed Micah as he left until the door closed. "So, how's Justin?" Catherine asked Adam. "Have you two talked at all?" "Not really," Adam said. "I tried. He can't wrap his head around Connor. He's still trying to pursue this case about a building in the woods. He's asked me about it." "What'd you tell him?" Catherine asked. "I've tried to convince him that there isn't a building. I don't think he believes me," Adam responded. "Not so long as the Boogeyman stays there." Catherine raised an eyebrow. "How can you be so sure the Boogeyman is trapped for good?" she asked. Adam shook his head. "It isn't. It's just in a temporary cage until we can find something more secure. For now, I'll just continue to add salt whenever I go check on it," Adam suggested. Catherine liked that idea. Micah had reached the cemetery and found Connor's grave, a place he never would get used to. He clutched the flower tightly in his hand while thinking of something to say. He reeled his head back as his vision blurred. Finally, he spoke. "Hey man, I know, a flower, really? I promise I'll find you a cool rock or something." Micah giggled. He looked up, the sun's rays shining spectacularly through the clouds. It's hard to believe it's been a week already. Time really waits for no one, huh? Micah kneeled down. You know, you've kept me up at night. I've always wondered how you manage to lighten situations with your jokes. Like, was it learned, or was it a skill you were born with? I've tried, and I just couldn't do it. Micah sniffled. Liz is doing well. She misses you a lot, too. I heard she's improving her relationship with her dad, so that's good. Your dad's been on all of us. I want to show him the lab and show him the Boogeyman. My dad says that's not a good idea. I think he's right. Micah looked back up at the sky just as the clouds revealed more of the sun. Ah, bright, Micah said to himself. Well, my parents are probably expecting me, so I'll just leave this here. Take good care of it. Micah leaned forward to place the flower at the base of the tombstone. As he stepped forward onto the grass, his foot sank. Micah looked closer. The dirt was loose. Upon a closer inspection, some of the dirt was exposed. Some of the grass was underneath the soil it grew on. Micah stood up and slowly walked back in confusion. He felt a hand on his shoulder. Hey, bro. The voice was unbelievably familiar. Miss me?